What's up YouTube, this is Quality Pilots with a tutorial on how to fly the Boeing 737 by Zibo. We're flying in X-Plane today, but you can join this tutorial with any flight simulator you want to if you have a Boeing 737. We are in San Diego today and we are going to fly to San Francisco International Airport. If you want to fly with the same add-ons, the same plane, the same scenery add-ons I do fly with, check out the links in the description below. And there you will also find some links to the documents you may want to use for this flight. For example, a checklist where you can follow along with what I'm doing, and also the Simbrief website, which I'm using for flight planning, but you can also use any other flight planning website or app you know. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's get into the cockpit. This is the 737 cockpit, 737-800. What you always want to do in the 737 by Zibo is to configure this AviTab. You may need the AviTab plugin for this, I'm not sure. But this is really important because you will not be able to move on the ground, to move the steering wheel on the ground, the nose wheel, steering wheel, if you're flying with a joystick and have no rudder pedals. So what you need to do for that, if you're at home, at the home page, go to the right side of the AviTab and click, then go to configure and customize, hardware, and then nose wheel axis set to yaw. And then you see, before I did that, when it's on, just the rudder pedals move, but not the nose wheel, steering wheel. If you put it on yaw, the nose wheel, steering wheel is going to move too. And you can also set some other stuff here. You want to set the align time in the realism page to short, because it's going to take a long time to align the systems, the instruments here, all the displays, if you set it to real or long. So you set it to short, and then it's going to take not so long. Then visual effects, you want to set the visual effects to ski, and then you can also show the passengers, who look kind of creepy. But anyway, then what else? Yeah, some interesting stuff is that in display invariants you can set the winglets. Right now we have the blended winglets, but you can also set those to either split, and it's looking like this, or to none, then you just have no winglets at all. But that looks kind of weird in the Southwest livery, so we're going to take the, I'm not sure, what do you think? I think the split winglets look the best. Then, other important things are ground services. Connect the GPU, set the chocks, ASU connect, and then open the entry. Then you can start the flight leg, and there are those sound in the back of the aircraft. The passengers are all boarding. Yeah, that's it. And then we're gonna start with a cold and dark start. So we are gonna do a, oh, why is my gear in the off position? That is not intended. That's not good. Anyway, so all instruments are black. So we're gonna do a cold and dark startup. The engines are cold and no lights, nothing is on in the cockpit. So first things first, you will need a power, so we're gonna turn on the battery and set the DC voltmeter switch to battery. Then you see the volts in this display. Then standby power is set to auto. That's good. Then the master collision, set that to disengage. Turn all the hydraulic pumps and check that all the fuel pumps are turned off. Then connect the GPU and set the AC voltmeter switch to ground power. Then you can set the lighting in the cockpit. Master collision disengage. Then you can first turn on the emergency lights, and then you can turn on all the lights. Yep. Then turn the seatbelt sign on and the no smoking sign.
Okay, the cabin is secure. Have a good flight.
If you press on this attention button, there's gonna come the famous fasten your seatbelts and the attention sound. I think it's the best sound ever in the plane. Except for the engine startup sound, but you're gonna hear those. But you're gonna hear that in a few minutes. Next is set the left and right pack to auto and the isolation valve to auto as well. Then yeah, we're gonna align the IRS. This is what I told you before about the instruments. We need to get those instruments fired up, bring them to life, and then we can put in our route. So we're flying from KSAN today. This is the San Diego Airport ICAO code. If you want to find out from what airport you are taking off, like from what the ICAO code for your airport is, just type in your airport name, like San Diego, and then ICAO code. So San Diego ICAO code, and then it's going to say the ICAO code. There's also a IATA code. Just ignore that one, that you need the ICAO code. Yeah, so what this message means, there just appeared a message. It says enter IRS position. This is important because we want those instruments to light up. So you will need to put in your GPS position, so this map knows where we are. So you go to the next page, get the left GPS, go to previous page, and then type it into set IRS position. And then there we go. The instruments are lit up. Okay, next is the route. Just type in into origin your departure airport and into destination your destination airport. KSFO, that's San Francisco International Airport. Where's the F there? For this, you will need a flight planning tool. I will use Simbrief for this. Just type in simbrief.com, I think, and then you will get there. But I'm going to use the app for iPad for this flight, but it's basically the same as the website. Then you need to create a new flight, then type in your departure ICAO code, KSAN, Kilo Sierra Alpha November, and Kilo Sierra Alpha Foxtrot Oscar as the arrival airport. And type in your aircraft type, which is 737-800 for this flight. And then tap on generate flight. And then go to route, and there you will see your departure runway, which is 27 for today. So type in 27 to runway, and then go to next page to type in your waypoints. This is important now. Just ignore the first waypoint, like departures 2, and also ignore the last waypoint, 044. Those ones are SIDs, and the last one is the star. This is not important for now, but we're going to need them later. So just take the next one, which doesn't have a number after the letters. So that one is IK. So you take the IK, whatever, and type it into 2. If there is a number between your letter, between the next one and the waypoint you're typing in right now, type that number into via. If there's no number, if there is a direct, so DCT, just type in the next waypoint, which is Reezy. So if there is DCT that stands for direct, just ignore the DCT. That means that you're directly going to the next waypoint after the waypoint you just typed in. So next waypoint is SPLNT. And then we go to Stoked. And then the last one is Zephyr. More in database. Oh, I typed in Zephyr. And then type on activate, execute, and then you can go to the perf in it, get those numbers, just type in 1 reserve. And then you maybe do that before. Just reset your values, and then I always just get some more weight, and then you get your block time and just get some more fuel than your block time, and that will be fine. You can also just look at your exact weight values, but I'm just gonna do it like that because it works out. Yeah, and then if you reset the weight, always go to tap on the GW cruise CG once more. Then your cost index is the CI cruise number on your flight plan summary window on Simbrief. So type that into cost index, and then get your cruise altitude, which is 36,000 feet for this flight. Like, you can also just type in 360, which stands for flight level 360, or you type in the whole number 36,000 feet and type it in here. And then tap on execute. Always, if this yellow light lights up, just tap on execute. If you want to activate the numbers, you just type it in here. Then after that, go to departure and arrival. You want to depart at San Diego, so tap on departure at San Diego, get that runway, activate that runway, and then this is where the SIDs and stars are important. So we need the Potter's 2 SID for this flight, so tap on that one, and also we have the waypoint IKE after the Potter's 2's SID, so also tap on the IKE transition. You don't need to, well, just do it. Execute, then go back to departure and arrival, tap on arrival as San Francisco, because we want to arrive at San Francisco and not on, at San Diego, and then our landing runway will be 28 right, and always take the ILS. If there's no ILS, just take the RNAV. If there's no RNAV, just take the normal runway ladder over here. But there is an ILS, so we are going to take the ILS for today. Then our star is going to be 034. There is actually no 034 star in the FMC here in X-Plane, so just take the nearest 034 star you see in this window, so that would be 043, and then check if there's any transition, which should be before this star, but there is no transition, so just tap on execute. Then you also want to set your N1 limits and takeoff speeds. So we're going to depart with flaps 5 today. This is the normal flap settings for the takeoffs. If you have a very short runway, or you are very heavy, take flaps 10. And then just tap on the V1, VR, and V2 speeds to activate them, and they will show up in this little window here, up here, and they will be called out when you are taking off. Yeah, that's it with the FMC. Then we will go on with our startup. So start up the APU. For that you will need one fuel pump. Just take the forward number 1, and then go to the APU and start it, and then just wait until this starts to rise. And then you want to wait till this light is turning blue, and then you can tap on the APU generator 1 and 2 and activate those ones. Then the APU, which is at the back of the aircraft, this is the APU, which is just firing up right now. This little hole at the back, like the ass of the aircraft. So this light just lighted up, and then just tap on the APU generator 1 and 2. Next, remove all ground connections, right. GP disconnect, remove chocks, and ASC disconnect. I'm just going to set the cabin lighting really quick, close the door, and the gangway should remove in any minute. Yeah, I think that's it. So we are ready to start up our engines, but first you want to set your altimeter, because this is important for the H. So just look at your weather settings, and then look at your air pressure, and this is saying 30.06. So you want to set your altimeter to 30.06. Then set your first altitude, which is 36,000 feet for this flight, because we are just going to climb to our cruise altitude, because we have no ATC, which is giving us clearance for any flight levels or something. Then turn on all fuel pumps. We don't have any fuel in our center fuel pump, so we don't need to turn on the fuel pumps in the center. Also turn on all hydraulic pumps and turn your anti-collision light on, and then turn off the left and right pack. Okay, we are ready to push back and start our engines. So there's this great tool called Better Pushback. With this plugin you can just push your aircraft back to where you want, not like in the default X-plane pushback option, where you're just gonna push back and pushback truck puts you somewhere and you don't even know where. Like, you can't even decide where you want to push back to. So the pushback truck should be coming in any minute. There it is.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Okay, the pushback truck is connecting.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Alright, we're going to kill the parking brake, and the pushback is going to start. So, now we may start engines. For that you will need to turn on the APU bleed, and then turn this button to the left to start the engine number 1. So you will see the engine is starting up. But right now we don't have any fuel getting into the engine, so we need to put some fuel in if this number is at 25 or 26. And then you hear this beautiful sound of the starting engines. Okay, if you started up the engine, this switch got kicked back to off, so you want to put it to continue. Then we can start engine number 2. Okay, this number is at 26 now, so just put in some fuel.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Alright, pushback is complete. We're going to set the parking brake. The tow is going to disconnect.
Stand by.
And and you want to set the second engine switch to continue. Okay. Then you can turn up the APU. Oh, you can't, sorry. First you have to switch on the generator 1 and 2 switch, and then you can turn up the APU. I'm sorry. And then turn off the APU bleed, turn the left and right pack back on, turn the pitot heat switches on, and the window heat. And have a look at your temperature, which is above 10 degrees. See, it's 14 degrees right now. If it's below 10 degrees, also turn on the wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice. Then turn on the yaw damper and set the flaps to 5, so 3 times. By the way, you can also see the flap setting in this window right here. It's set to 5 right now, and you can set it to 40 if you want. We're going to use 40 flaps at landing probably. Then turn on the taxi light and runway turn off light switch. And the pushback truck isn't even disconnected yet. If the pushback truck doesn't disconnect, just go to ground services, pushback, and tab on disconnect. It's going to disconnect then. Alright, the pushback truck is leaving, and we can taxi to the runway. Oh, I forgot to set the auto brake to RTO, which stands for rejected takeoff. Then kill the parking brake and do the taxi. You shouldn't taxi over 20 knots. You can see your ground speed here. The airspeed in the airspeed, which is located here. This won't be showing up if you are below 45 knots because it just doesn't make sense to get any airspeeds under 45 knots. And actually we're gonna depart a little bit before the end of the runway because I saw a bug in this scenery, which is right here. So we're gonna depart from here because this makes it really difficult to take off and land there. Now maybe we're gonna use the second. We're gonna line up here. That'll be alright. Okay, turn on both flight directors. Whoop. And turn on the auto throttle and set the auto throttle speed to about 210. If you have struggled to keep the center line in center, see those this gap here, like this mark? Just keep the center line in between those marks. Stop before the holding point.
Approaching 27.
Yes, we are on the right one, 27. Okay, then set the heading to the runway heading, which you can see here, which is 275. Oh, also, I forgot to tell you that, if there's any discontinuity in this Lex page, just take if there's a discontinuity, for example, at kernel here, just take the next waypoint and type it into the discontinuity. Then the discontinuity will be gone, and it will execute after that. Alright, also set the choruses to 275, the runway heading. And turn on the landing lights. Position lights set to strobe and steady. And you can also do the welcome captain speech. You should probably do that when you're taxiing, but we're going to do that now. And also set this pressure thing to your cruise altitude and your landing altitude. Because this is important, because otherwise your screen will be black in mid-flight because the cabin pressure is not right, is not correct. Alright, also turn out the runway terminal flight and taxi light, and then I think you're ready to go. Line up runway 27.
On runway 27.
Checked. Okay, I'm gonna stop at the runway because I'm gonna brief you how to fly this departure now. You are gonna set your power to this green arrow here, and then you... oh, what's going on with my rudders? That's really strange. And then you're gonna wait till the callouts are saying V1 and then VR, or it's gonna say rotate. I think it's gonna say rotate, and if it's saying rotate, pull back on the stick gently, like that, and then try to get the nose up to 15 degrees, and first turn on your VNAV and LNAV, and then there is going to show up this pink arrow, or cross, it's actually a cross, and try to get your horizontal line onto the cross and try to follow the cross. By the way, you can also turn on your terrain radar and weather radar, and then it's going to show up here, but since we don't have any terrain or weather today, any significant weather or terrain, there will be no weather information here. Okay, and then after you took off and you set the VNAV and LNAV, put on the CMD autopilot and it's going to fly by itself. But you have to, if the autopilot is not turning on, you have to have your joystick in the center. If you have the joystick like this and try to turn on the autopilot, it's not going to turn on. You have to set it in the middle, even though the nose might go down for that second or something. Alright, take off. Gear up. And now you can turn on the autopilot. And then set the gear to the off position. And if you exceeded 200, set the flaps up. Alright, when you departed, you can turn the auto brake to off and check that your flaps are up, because otherwise if you go faster than the allowed flap settings, which you can see here, the flaps won't work anymore. They will be broken and you can't use them on the approach, and that's really bad. When you are at above 10,000 feet, you can turn off the landing lights and turn off your wheel well light. Check that the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights are off, and turn your wing anti-ice and engine anti-ice on. Yeah, and also set your altimeter to standard. Okay, once you began your descent, you need to make some landing preparations. First, you need to set your auto brake. If there's a long runway, just set the auto brake to 1 or 2. We have a pretty long runway in San Francisco. I like to set the auto brake to 2 because I just like braking, and I have struggles to enable the reverser often, so yeah. Then make sure your altitude is set to 0, so you won't have any issues to descend with the autopilot, and also with the ILS later. Okay, next you need to set your ILS frequency, if you have an ILS approach. For that, search up ILS frequency at your ICAO code airport, and then look at the runway you get for that. Then go to the website. de.flightaware.com is a very good website for that. Look at the PDF file and look at the upper left corner. There you will see your localizer and ILS frequency, which is 111.7 today. And also type it into the Copilot ILS. To get the ILS working, you also need to set the the course to your runway heading, which is let's look at the legs in the 285. Heading 285. Put it into both courses, otherwise it probably won't work. And also just put it into your heading to be sure, in case you will need to turn off your VOR lock or your LNAV. Then set your altimeter from standard to your actual altimeter, and put your spoilers to armed. And this green light will light up. What this does is when you land, the spoilers will automatically deploy. Below 10,000 feet you can turn on the landing lights. It won't disturb anybody if you turn them on for 10,000 feet, so we're going to do that now. Also the runway turn-off lights. Yeah, and that's it. Then you just need to wait till you are on the localizer. Alright, we are gonna turn on the localizer in a few minutes. The turn is about 12 miles ahead of us. You see those white arrows here. If this arrow is on that line, you turn on this VOR localizer. And then if this line is on that line, you can turn on the approach mode. Then the LNAV and VNAV is going to turn off, and the aircraft is going to fly by itself down to the runway. If you are at maybe 210 knots, you want to set your flaps to 5, then at 190 maybe to 10, and then at some point to 15 degrees. And at 8 miles away from the runway, you want to set your you want to put your gear down and want to have the flap setting set to 15 degrees. Alright, we are on the localizer now, so we can turn on the VOR lock localizer. And we are about 12 miles away from the airport. We are gonna put down our gear in a few minutes. I'm gonna set the flaps to 15 degrees. We are aligned with the right runway, that's correct. Put the gear down and then have a look at your landing speed, which you can see at init reference, and then if you have the flap setting 40 degrees, you can approach with 124 knots. If you use the 30 degrees settings, you can approach with 131 knots or more, but that's the optimum speed. If there is some wind, like we have today, 4 knots, it's not very much, but we are going to approach with a little bit more than 124. And we are going to turn the approach mode on. You can let the aircraft land by itself now. Don't worry if the light of the approach button is turned off. Okay, I'm taking over.